Hello, brothers and sisters, boys and girls, dear friends. Today's sermon, or rant, today's ranting sermon is about God. Because I figure I did Jesus, I did the devil. I don't want God to get jealous. You got to cover all my bases. Now, first thing, when I say God, I'm using my precise speech leads to precise thought kind of idea, and I've traced back the meaning of the term God as we use it back to its original form. And the term that we get the word God from was genderless, and both genders, and neither, and nor, and both, and all. Hard to describe, hard to define, hard to narrow down, but was not a woman or a man, and was both, and was neither, all at the same time. Now, if we stuck with that, we might have had to train our brains around the awesomeness that is God, because right there, just that concept, hard to wrap your brain around, hard to wrap our brains around, because it's usually either or. It's black or it's white. It can't be both, and it can't be both and neither at the same time. And there's a problem right away. We've learned to limit God. That's what all of our religions in the world are arguing about. Their limitations on God. Right away. So when I say God, I mean the God, the goddess, all that is. The way it was described to me when I was a kid, I've always loved the description. Imagine you got a spider. The spider, the body of the spider, we will call the Godhead. All that exists, everything that there is. The legs of the spider will be the various gods and goddesses. Now imagine your spider has 32 billion legs, and you might have covered all the gods and goddesses that ever existed, but they are merely parts of that one source. As hard as it is to wrap your head around, these parts can have very bad personality qualities. They can be negative or they can be positive. The legs can fight with each other. You can have deity forms that don't get along, have issues for various reasons, in their complex deity world. And they're still part of the whole. They're still fulfilling the plan of the spider, no matter what all these feet are doing. It may seem like what these feet are doing makes no sense and they're actually getting it nowhere to us, but that's because we can't see this huge picture. I was taught that God is our father and mother. We are created in God's image and we are growing into that likeness. That likeness that we were growing into was referred to as the perfected being. God is perfect. God is everything that we could ever hope to be, but is something that we are growing into. We are made in its likeness, like its children, growing to be more like it. Now, my take on God seems to be rare. I find my personal, not what when I tell you what I learned when I was a kid, or something that the old people said. It's gonna be what the old people said, and then my elaboration on that. My version is it has come through all this. I probably learned it through learning that. I'm having a hard time explaining that part. If I didn't know that, I couldn't know this. God is perfect, everything that I could ever hope to be. God is everything that I can imagine and what I cannot imagine. Everything that I understand and everything that is outside of my understanding. It's what I should hope to understand once I am finally perfect. In that, I am still the creation. I find it ludicrous that I would be able to take my Creator and put it in a box. In a box. Got a box, right? And when you put God in this box, right? If God can't get out of this box that we, the little creations, have thrown in there, then we don't have God in the box. We've got some lesser devious spirit masquerading as God or something in this box. But there's no way that we, puny little human creations, should be able to put our parent in a box that it can't get out of. That box is a definition and a limitation. This should hopefully fuck up all the religions in the world and cease them from arguing. So you just, get this video out there, get it to the Muslims, Christians, the Jews, all of them. Guess what? Uncle Phil, Birch, says, hey, guess what? You're all right. You're all right. And guess what? You're all wrong. Now, that's the problem right there, is you're going, well, you can't be both. Yes, it can. It can be both, it can be neither, it can be nor, it can be all of the above. And as hard as that is for you to wrap your head around, that's God, bigger than you can define. And if you can limit it, then you're wrong. If you say God is, you're right. God is everything that you could say that God is, good and bad. It's when you say what God isn't where you've gone askew. And you've all gone askew. So, the Jews, your version of God is right. The Muslims, your version of God is right. The Christians, your version of God is right. All the other religions, definitely the pagans. But I'm talking about the three warring tribes on the planet that make all our lives a living hell, ceaselessly arguing about their limitations on God. God can be Muhammad. Muhammad can be the prophet, and so can Jesus. And the prophet can never have been born too. As hard as it is for you to wrap your head around, that is the awesomeness, the allness of God. It should be beyond our understanding. We should keep trying to understand it, but when we try and box it up, we've got to realize that we're wrong. So all of you, you can just, you can stop fighting until you're wrong. When you try and force somebody into your belief system, when you don't even know if you're right, well, there you're wrong. But everything that exists, God, the devil, the Christian gods, the Christian devils, all the gods of the Old Testament, which were all the gods of the Muslims, Jews, and the Christians, all pretty much the same story, same book. They just disagree on a couple points. And because they disagree on a couple points, the whole world's had to be ravaged by them for as long as recorded history. We've had to deal with your people's ceaseless, endless war. Just get over it. You all can be right. And I don't think your God said any different. And any God that said any different wasn't a God. Any God that put a limitation on God or on itself, like Jehovah's, I'm a jealous God, thou shalt have no others before me. Well, first of all, if you're jealous, then there are other gods. There's something more than you, or it would be ludicrous for you to be jealous, and a perfected being shouldn't be ludicrous. And you know what? A perfected being shouldn't be jealous. But you know what? As much as I dislike it, that still can be God. God can be what I like, what I dislike, what I find highly evolved, and what I find distasteful and lower evolved. God, this rant's gone on a long time to try and make the simple point, but it's such a huge point, I guess I could go on forever. So basically, that's my point, man. Let God out of the box. It's not your box to control. This has been Birch talking to you through the box. Merry meet, merry part, merry meet again.